Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Galactic Mystic. I'm your host Candace, and as I'm starting this episode, it is 4:44 on the clock. So whoever you are and you are listening this either in your headphones or on the YouTube channel, just know that this is probably for you. We are going to be diving into Saturn, and Saturn, the big lessons that it makes us kind of undertake if we are paying attention to the signs of our own reality, of how it affects us on our own day to day, as well as within our own natal chart, and how you can start to learn the lesson that you will be learning within your whole lifespan here in this matrix. So first, I kind of just want to say that Saturn's retrograde started back in June 4th at 5:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's actually going to continue all the way up until October 23rd. And I'm pretty excited about this only because Saturn is, again, like I said, the big teacher. It is like the hardest professor in the college that you have to get an A at. And if you don't get an A++, then you failed. And you are probably doomed to repeat that course over and over and over again until you hand over your paper. And Saturn, being the big teacher, will say, okay, you finally passed your test. You're not able to move on within your lifespan. And so if you are in this place, you may be receiving some difficulties, but hopefully this episode will help you kind of understand how you can utilize Saturn's energy to your benefit, how you can start to change the structures and the lessons within your life to grow, as we are all supposed to be doing that here as spiritual beings in this matrix. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and actually dive into the energy of Saturn and how you can start to utilize this to your day-to-day purpose. So Saturn is the overall teacher of structure, discipline, authority, karma, making one of the most fearsome planets within our astrology. Saturn actually also rules the day of Saturday, meaning Saturn and Saturday. So if you are doing any type of planetary magic, I would highly recommend that you listen to our planetary magic episode so you can know all the extra bells and whistles that comes with the energy of Saturn. I do also just want to say that normally when people think about Saturn, they talk about Saturn's return. And this usually happens when you are the ages of between of 27 and 30, 58 and 61, or 84 and 90. And this is because Saturn has a long way with its transit. And because of that transit and how long it takes for it to come back around, these are normally the time frames you can see or to expect some type of disruptions within your lifespan. When it does come back in your lifespan, Saturn's return can be in the same position that it was at the time of your birth. And that's when you may be feeling more tired, tested, maybe asked to be adjusted to the more aligned energy within you, which would be your purpose. Now, I also just want to say that Saturn is, again, kind of the planet of discipline. And some additional words when I think about Saturn is structure, responsibility, restriction, obstacles, trials, hard work, integrity, as well as patience. Not to mention that it rules Capricorn, and when you think of Capricorn and how strict they are, how rigid they are, how they are really about their coin, they have that seriously discipline when it comes to making their shit work for their foundation. It just goes literally hand in hand with Capricorn's energy. And if you have a Capricorn moon, I am so sorry, because it's probably really hard for you to really display your emotions or even give other people the opportunity to do anything, because you have this very strict, hard ass kind of way of moving and being about within your own emotions. So I would definitely give yourself some leeway if you do have a Saturn moon or a Capricorn moon, basically. So let's actually continue on with the meaning of Saturn. So, as I mentioned before, Saturn is like that strict teacher. It is literally like that hardcore professor in college that will not let you pass unless you understand the true meaning of the lesson. They really want you, they meaning Saturn, really wants you to really understand the true meaning of responsibility. It's kind of like if you were a child and you grew up with like no boundaries or constructive criticism, you may result in some type of like entitlement or being an irresponsible adult. And this is where Saturn's really going to be coming into your life at those ages saying, hey man, it's time for you to really switch up your shit because you're fucking up. And if you're not realizing that shit, then you're going to be repeating the same shit over and over again and then wondering why your life hasn't changed the way that you want them to. So, in my opinion, when you spend your life resisting Saturn's influence altogether, you can repeat a lot of cycles over and over again. But if you were to embrace this planet's energy, to embrace what the energy of structure and discipline that is trying to display within you, you can actually move upon yourself in a higher aspect of your true purpose. Now, with that being said, Saturn makes a disharmonious aspect or intense kind of reactions for us during retrograde. And so, with this starting back in June 4th of this year, you could probably have sensed a lot of different shifts happening within your life that's kind of making you kind of pause within your own reality. These pauses are actually helping you try to reflect what is currently going on in your life that you need to reassess so that you can become your highest and authentic self. And especially if you struggle to really be who you are or be truly yourself without having to fake the funk, utilizing this energy during the retrograde is actually going to help you in such a long term because you're actually seeing the lesson and you're allowing yourself to get through it. Now, as we pass through these days in Saturn, or months, excuse me, you're going to really start to harness your true self. If you are to embrace this energy, you can start to really see your new gifts. You can start to really accept your destiny or your life's purpose. But it really is allowing yourself to really not be discouraged about the challenges that you're facing and allowing yourself to really hit them head on without any fear, worry, doubt, or scarcity mindset, because ultimately this is pushing you to your highest and greatest good. Now, I personally, like I said at the beginning of this episode, really do love this energy. And when you are thinking about how Saturn goes into retrograde, believe it or not, it really is just trying to help you get to the opposite side of where you're trying to be at. The outside planets of, which include Saturn, which are Jupiter, Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, all of these actually spend about half of every single year in the midst of a retrograde, which means that each of these planets are really trying to push us into some capacity, a new version of ourselves that's really meant for us to experience here on Earth. And so if you're taking it from that perspective, you can really allow yourself to look backwards and see, okay, this planet specifically is trying to teach me something. What are the lessons that I experienced prior to this retrograde? And how can I actually apply those lessons now so that I don't repeat them once the planet goes back into normal movement? This is why when you think about retrogrades, it's really important to take a note of how your life was before it started so that you can start to take responsibility, become more accountable, being able to really conquer your fears and start making your dreams come to an actual reality, especially if you have this feeling like your life is supposed to be going somewhere else, or you have this feeling like I'm meant to be doing something more. This is where you're going to really find yourself be in that different energy of becoming who you're truly meant to be. And if you do embrace this Saturn energy, you will become a masterful teacher. Again, Saturn has their own times when it comes into your life. So during those different periods of your life frame, there's going to be certain things that you have learned. There's going to be certain things that you have tackled, some things that you've gone and realized. And if you're utilizing these things especially during a Saturn retrograde, you'll be able to really speed up the process of your karma. You'll be able to speed up the process of your healing. And so many things that would affect other people won't be such a hardship for you. You'll be able to really see your shit and be able to move forward at a more faster pace. As this Saturn went into retrograde, it went into retrograde in the zodiac sign of Aquarius. So this energy is really saying something about your social circles, something about you doing more community based things and seeing your vision for the future, especially if that future involves you creating or being innovative in that way. This is going to be a perfect time for you to think about what kind of mark do you really want to leave on the world, because Aquarius is all about making changes for the better, especially for a community or for humans in that standpoint. So if you're taking this energy in itself, you'll be able to really notice how Saturn can really help you in that aspect. Now, the other thing I do just want to quickly give you an example of how Saturn return has affected my life is when I was going through my own shit when I was the ages of 27 and 30. And that literally is how my spiritual awakening has catapulted for me. If you listen to the previous episode where I talked about my moon sign, I talked about how my son came to me about my not liking life, me feeling very disconnected, anxiety, depression, very feeling dark and sad. And I really didn't feel like my place, like I knew my place. Like I felt like I was so lost. Like, what am I doing here? What I have kids, but what about my kids? Like, my kids don't make me. What is it about me that makes this myself really important, and how can I help me but also society in some capacity? I felt like whatever I was doing with work didn't make sense. I felt like the people that I was involving myself with on a day-to-day basis, the activities I was doing, I just felt like I did not belong, and I didn't understand why. And now looking back at that age and how I was and what I was going through on a personal day-to-day level, it really made me understand that Saturn's lesson was really having me take responsibility at my life at its core. I needed to look at how I was viewing my own purpose, how I viewed my own life, if what I was feeling internally was actually matching from the outside. And because it wasn't matching, I needed to take time for myself to figure that shit out. I couldn't rely on someone else to tell me. I really had to work on my inner work to allow myself to really find myself. Why did I feel so disconnected with people? Why did I feel like I couldn't really say what I needed to say? Why couldn't I really allow myself to really be vulnerable or to see what kind of job that I wanted to do? I really felt lost, especially in my job aspect. Like, I didn't feel like I had any type of structure that matches the thing that I wanted to do. At that time, I've had a failed business within the beauty community. I was working for a business that was all about insurance, and the department I was working with was, basically handing people's, money, and I just felt like, what am I doing here? I hate taking calls in the fucking customer service department. I hate the fact that I'm getting yelled at by motherfuckers who I don't really motherfucking know, who I really don't motherfucking want to get to know, because their attitude is think about their fucking money. And I was like, this is just not for me. I did not feel like I had, like, all the talents that I had, I didn't feel like I was using them for the greater good, if that makes sense. I literally felt like I was stuck, and I just kind of was going to a job that was mundane, that just was there to help pay for the bills, and that was basically it. I felt like my integrity as a Black woman, as an individual, was being played by this company. I didn't feel like my worth of who I was being really cultivated by not only to the people that was around me, but also like the partner I was with. I felt like the reason why he was really with me was because of my color, of my openness of sexuality, of me really being open to not really knowing myself, I guess, because when you think about integrity, what does it mean to have integrity? That means you're really proud about yourself. And at that time, I wasn't really proud of myself. Like I can say that I was, and I kind of probably looked at the people that I did, but internally I really did not have any forms of integrity within myself. And so I really did feel like I was being limited to my abilities. And insert in again the story of my son and how he came into my life, really telling me like, Mom, like, you know, you used to be very happy, you used to be very lively, you used to be, you used to be, you used to be, you used to be. And I that's literally when my spiritual awakening started. I literally started to be more disciplined towards me figuring out my shit. I literally put in the hard work into me learning what it meant to change my paradigm, to change my energy, to be more in aligned to my frequency of the life that I wanted, the energy that I wanted to attract, to be more responsible when it comes to being a mom, to my own health, to me taking responsibilities with how I was allowing people to control me and manipulate me, taking the responsibility and telling people to shut the fuck up when I really didn't know how to really say it. Like Saturn's energy during my spiritual awakening literally helped me find me. And I hope this episode is giving you some type of clarity that if you are those ages between 27 and 30, or even like, you know, the other ages, I hope that you're allowing yourself to really see the lessons that is trying to help you understand. If you're taking it from that point of view, instead of you looking at it like everything's happening to me, it's everything's crumbling and everything's not working in my favor, and you change it from, oh, it's happening for me, it's I need this in order for me to push myself. I need this energy to help me realize who's really there for me, what I really need to change about myself. How can I be more aligned to my purpose? What is my purpose? Do I feel more connected to me, or do I feel so disconnected that I'm doing shit that really doesn't make fucking sense? And for me right now, I can absolutely say with this Saturn retrograde, the energy that I'm personally feeling within my life, it made me really understand where I wanted myself to be by the end of this retrograde. I was learning more about my longevity of what I wanted to do for my business, how my business is going to cultivate a particular group. And I mean that by I had this energy back in the end of May to create this media company, and I got this download from one of my alien starseed family members, and they told me that it is you that needs to create this media company for spiritual weirdos. It is you that needs to create this community so that we have a place to cultivate our own media for them, so they don't have to feel like they have to conform to what other media company that is out there right now. And it's up to you, Candace, to really do that. And ever since I got that download back in May, I have been slowly working behind the scenes to create something that would be a place of a community for my fellow alien, starseed, healer, spiritual, hoodoo, voodoo, doesn't matter what you're doing. If you are a weirdo in the sense of spirituality, I want to help elevate or amplify your voice and insert in my business called Occult Media. It's an innovative media company helping those create the content that they want to create. And I'm so happy now that I can really talk about it because I've been working behind the scenes. I really started off creating this media company with the mind of Galactic Mystic to be number one as far as the podcast. And so that's why I've been really going hand with podcast episodes, really just pushing it out there, getting in the flow of creating podcasts again, so that when I am cultivating other podcast episodes for other creators, I can then listen to their episodes, help them create the audio, make sure that it's the vibe that they want, and help them push their content out for them in that sense of media. On top of creating the podcast, I've created different moon journals And these moon journals are literally for you to cultivate and understand your moon sign, and really start to dive into that with the magic and stuff like that. I also created my own oracle deck, and my oracle deck is called Intuitive Luna. And so all of these media aspects of the podcast, the decks, the journals, I'm in the process of helping one of my friends create her book, and she was graciously enough to allow me to be the producer for her book. And it's just very beautiful on all the energies that I'm working with. I'm currently working with a community-based app that is for spiritualists, and I'm a part of that board. So as someone, for me, I am utilizing this Saturn retrograde to really help me find and create businesses that would help the community. Because again, Aquarius rules the 11th house. It's about community, it's innovation, it is helping uplift in some capacity. And I've been using the retrograde of this Saturn to really be disciplined, to really take the responsibility, to accept the responsibility, to know that if it feels good within me to create it, I'm going to create it during this time, and it feels good. I've allowed myself to really go through the obstacles, to put in that hard work like the Capricorn energy. And not only that, but to bring in the energy of patience, because even though life as we know it for the last few years has been about Amazon, I want it now, give it to me fast, I don't want to wait. Saturn is that slower teacher, so I have been able to allow myself to be more disciplined and have that patience to allow energy to flow into me. And once it starts to cultivate in the way that I need it to, that's when I start to go ham and get things done. And so I hope my examples have really allowed you to see on how you can utilize it for your own energy, for your own placement, because this is how you grow as a spiritual being. This is how you develop your own energy. This is how you allow the energies from above to really help you down here in this matrix cultivate the life that you want. And so I think this is a beautiful segue for us to go ahead and end today's episode of how utilizing Saturn's lessons can help you cultivate the new life that you are really desiring to be. And so I truly hope you enjoyed today's episode. Again, today's episode was produced and pushed out by Occult Media. Make sure you follow us on Occult Media. And if you are a spiritual weirdo and you are a creative, an artist in any form, and you are ready to get certain things done, please make sure that you are going down to the link down below and follow us on social media. Send us an email. Let's start to talking and see how we can work with you on getting your media out there to this collective, the collective of this world, and getting your world out there. Besides all that, I truly hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Again, my name is Candace, and I am the host of Galactic Mystic. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm sending you guys so much love and light, and I'll see you guys at our next episode. Bye, guys.